Let's talk about error handling for application programming interface calls. Specifically, we'll discuss how to handle and display errors when those API calls don't go as planned. Why is error handling so important? Well, without it, your application might crash, leading to a poor user experience and making debugging a real headache. On the other hand, with effective error handling, your application can gracefully manage failures, provide user-friendly messages, and keep your code maintainable. Here's the basic try-catch pattern in JavaScript. We define an asynchronous function called fetchData. Inside the try block, we attempt to fetch data from the API endpoint /API/users. Then we convert the response to JSON format and return the data. If any error occurs during this process, the catch block catches the error, logs an error message to the console, and then rethrows the error. It's crucial to check the response status of your API calls. After making the fetch request to the API endpoint /API/users, we check if the response.OK property is false, which means the request failed. If it did fail, we throw a new error with a message that includes the HTTP status code. If the request was successful, we proceed to convert the response to JSON format. Let's create a function to generate custom error messages based on the HTTP status code. This function getErrorMessage takes status as an argument. Using a switch statement, we check the status code. If it's 400, we return invalid request data. If it's 401, we return please log in to continue. If it's 404, we return resource not found. If it's 500, we return server error, try again later. For any other status code, we return something went wrong. Here's how to manage error states in a React component. We use the useState hook to create two state variables: error, which initially is null, and loading, which is initially false. We also define an asynchronous function called fetchUsers. Inside this function, we first set loading to true and error to null. Then we try to fetch data from the API endpoint /API/users. If the response is not OK, we throw an error with the message failed to fetch. In the catch block, we set the error state to the error message. Finally, in the finally block, we set loading to false regardless of whether the request succeeded or failed. Here's how to display error messages to users in React. We use a conditional rendering to check if there is an error. If there is, we display an error message inside a div with the class name error. We also display a loading message while the data is being fetched. The example user interface preview shows an error message saying failed to load user data. Please try again. There is a warning sign before the text. Let's summarize the best practices for error handling in API calls. Always check the response.OK property before parsing the response. Provide meaningful error messages to users. Implement retry logic for transient failures. Log errors for debugging and monitoring purposes. If you like this video, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Visit CodeLucky.com for more such useful content.